is the return of Red vs. Blue Radio with your host and fearless leader, Scott Atkins, at Scott Fantasy on Twitter. Red vs. Blue is a proud partner of the new full-time podcast network, now sponsored by Sports Illustrated. Guests can be part of the live chat we call The Crew, and also join the show by calling 646-668-8147. Red vs. Blue, where sports, fantasy, and life collides. Politically correct? No chance. Fair and balanced? Absolutely. Get ready. Red vs. Blue is back in 3, 2, 1.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football World Championship Podcast, Grind Time, Red versus Blue, with myself, Adam Krautwurst, and the man, Scott Atkins. What is up, Scotty? Are you ready to draft tonight, my friend?
Oh, so ready, man. This is the draft that we get ready for. We're so pumped for it. It kicks off the high-stakes fantasy season, sort of a tradition. Even though the diehards have been drafting, this is the annual kickoff of the high-stakes fantasy season. So looking forward to it. The drafters are already rolling like they always are. These are some of the best minds in the world of high-stakes fantasy football, and they're in this draft tonight. We're going to introduce them. But they've already got the draft started. So this is the Play FFWC, the Play Fantasy Football World Championships, the Circa Las Vegas Fantasy Championship. It's a $349 entry fee. It's a mid-stakes league with a $50,000 grand prize and over $2,700 in league prizes. So the goal here is to obviously to win the league, but it's also to win the regular season. You get some prizes with the regular season. Through those first 14 weeks, you get best record in most points. You get your money, get some money back, and then you're rolling into the playoffs. 4 teams make the playoffs. It's a PPR league, and it's an 11-man starting lineup. Adam, like you know, it's the extra flex position. It really gives you a chance as a drafter to put that extra person in the lineup that other people struggle with, and you get to put them in there and get those extra points on your that are most of the times in most leagues on your bench.
Yeah, I love that. The two flex there, because it makes you have to work harder. It makes you have to draft deeper. You know what I mean? And you can't just. And it's good because if you have a deeper team, you're going to be better because you're not. It makes lineup decisions easier too, because especially during bye weeks, with that extra flex, you got to play a guy anyway. So rarely will you make the wrong decision when you have such a deep starting roster.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's a lot of yellow stickers on the board, but it is the year of the return of the green sticker, right? The running backs are back in a big way after Saquon Barkley had his big year last year. Jahmyr Gibbs was amazing down the stretch. And we all know what guys like Christian McCaffrey and we're kind of all waiting on that Bijan Robinson breakout. And looky there, the number 2 overall pick in this draft is Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where him and Barkley have kind of been going back and forth as the RB1, RB2 in a lot of these early drafts. Interesting to see, again, you have to draft 3, you have to start 3 receivers in this format. You can't start 5. And so you're going to see receivers generally fly off the board here. So again, you could see Lamb go 2. I did this exact format the other night, Scott. I got Lamb at 9. I was ecstatic about that to see him go 3 here, but you could easily see Chase, Lamb, and Jefferson go top 3 just because you need to start through 3 receivers.
Yeah, the 3 wide receiver with the dual flex means you can start 5 of them on any individual given week. And then you start to talk about bye weeks where you have maybe 4 or 5, 6 teams on bye and injuries and tough matchups where, man, I don't want this receiver to be, he's got a tough matchup. You need a good 8 or 9 maybe even 10 wide receivers in this format to really make it through the gauntlet. And you're going to see them draft them tonight. They're going to draft a lot of wide receivers like always, but there is a little bit of like I said, a slight uptick to the running back position that we're already noticing in this format. By the way, I want to give a shout out to my Indiana Pacers.
Yes, sir.
In the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We're so excited here in Indianapolis. Go Pacers, go! Yes, sirs. They're shocking the world right now, and it's got us all excited here.
That's exciting, no, for sure. Especially when they kind of come up, kind of out of the blue, and they did it legit. Like there was no like major injuries that they beat teams on. They've just been beating people, coming up from behind. And
Sunday night's going to be really exciting for us.
Yeah,
so don't expect me to be running any drafts on Sunday night during Game 7. If I do that, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But let's look at this draft, Adam. Jamar Chase 1 to Jerry Bryant daily double. I don't think anybody disagrees that after Jamar Chase's what they called the Triple Crown season last year, most receptions, most touchdowns, and most yards for any wide receiver, that's unheard of, and that it's deserving of the number 1 overall fantasy pick.
Yeah, not much to say about Jamar Chase. He's incredible. He's in a pass-happy, incredible offense with a great quarterback. So there's nothing's changed there. So as long as he stays healthy, he'll finish in the top 3 for receivers for sure.
Yeah, Jerry's been in these red versus blue leagues. He knows what it takes. He's in not just he had a really historic year last year, almost won the whole thing.
Yeah.
So he's it'll be interesting to see when you have that one pick, you're always a little bit worried about what's going to be there at that 2-3 turn. Especially when you go wide receiver, you're like, man, what running back will be there? We'll see how that shakes out for him. But the number 2 pick, the FF Oracle, he goes running back, and it's with Bijan Robinson. Again, there's a lot of running back options there. Does Bijan top the list for you in drafts? Or I know you're going to do a bunch of drafts, so target as far as what you guys call exposure,
right?
What percentage of drafts will you be taking Bijan as your number 1 running back overall?
It would probably be 50-50 between him and Saquon to be
wow.
Completely
okay.
honest. Yeah, I mean, I think they're both great. Bijan's going to has more, I think, touchdown upside there because of the tush push in Philly. It's just really hard for Saquon to hit his ceiling with the touchdowns. But the Eagles' offense is incredible. So I just don't think you can go wrong with either one of them. So you just kind of want to get exposure to both. But yeah, it's fine. And, you want to look at schedule. You want to look at matchups, all that type of stuff, how you want to build your team. And it'll be interesting to see if FF Oracle ends up doing a hero RB strategy here, or if he double dips at the running back. So that'd be interesting to see what he does here, because you don't want to get too far behind at receiver in this format.
Yeah, look, we have him projected for a number 1 fantasy player season for 2025. So, he's got a lot going for him in that offense. We also have Jahmyr Gibbs right there too. It's interesting that he didn't go number 2; he went number 3. But that Gibbs and Barkley, we feel are kind of interchangeable, especially when you're talking about the very top tier echelon of running backs. What do you think about adding Jahmyr Gibbs to that mix, that ratio that you said was 50-50? Is he your solid number 3, or is there a story there?
Yeah, I think Gibbs is a tier down. I think I would have him in there with Genty and McCaffrey. I just think McCaffrey, like, if you think McCaffrey is going to get hurt, I can't argue with you. But if you think he has a number 1 RB upside, which I think most people do when he plays, just 2 years ago, he averaged, 23 fantasy points a game. And just to kind of compare that, Saquon Barkley, who was amazing last year, averaged 20 fantasy points a game, PPR. So I think, or maybe it was half PPR. So I think like McCaffrey's got that upside too, but Gibbs is right in that mix. I just don't know. The Lions are interesting to me as a team. I don't know. They lose their offensive coordinator, and Scott, if you want to, comment on that after this, but they lose their offensive coordinator. So we don't know. Are they going to lean on the run more? Are they going to be as good as they were last year, where they can lean on that run and be as run heavy as they were? Montgomery isn't going away. I like Gibbs because he's safe. He gets the catches. He does get goal line carries. As long as he stays healthy, I think he's a safe top 5 running back. But I don't see him having that RB1 upside because I don't think he's going to get enough of those high exposure touches that Bijan and Barkley and even Genty and McCaffrey might get.
That is the question, and it scares some of us even about Amon-Ra St. Brown and the draft capital that you have to spend on him in a draft. You're wanting elite upside there, and anytime there's changes on the level of the entire the coaching staff all around you that it has led and designed the team. I mean, it's going to be tough to replace a Ben Johnson.
Right.
That's not easy to do. I mean. So that's why Chicago, went and paid for their guy. They want to build the next Detroit Lions offense, and they want Caleb Williams to be, have that Jared Goff type season, and they want to recreate the Amon-Ra St. Brown with Luther Bird and stuff like that. So there's a lot there to get to. But interesting pick, FF Oracle. Nice job with Bijan. Boom Crush comes in And he sees kind of CeeDee Lamb kind of falling in his lap there at the number 3 pick. Again, with Dak Prescott, there's no doubt that CeeDee Lamb is a dominant player in fantasy football and somebody that you're really happy to go ahead and anchor and just check the box and move on to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. You know, they had their pass rate last year, number 1, 61%. They threw the ball last year in a dome, and that was without Dak for a bunch of games. Like, if Dak plays the full season, I mean, Lamb is incredible. You saw what he did the year before, and does he have more mouths to feed there? Sure, but Pickens might just help him. You know, Pickens might just be the guy that takes the top off the defense. Lamb works out of the slot. He works all over the place. I have Lamb as my number 2 overall player, especially in this format where you got to start three receivers. And so you can't go wrong with Lamb unless Dak gets hurt. I really love him.
You know, it's interesting that you said unless Dak gets hurt. It is always has to be said when you take a wide receiver in the first round. You're not just taking the wide receiver, you're taking the quarterback too, because the wide receiver has to stay healthy and the quarterback has to stay healthy for him to really maintain that dominance at that first round level. Whereas a running back, look, yes, he has to stay healthy, but if you lose your quarterback, sometimes that leads to more volume for that running back to go through. So it's the wide receiver carries a little bit of risk there because, again, unless you have a backup quarterback, and who's the backup quarterback in Dallas?
Oh, God.
Is it Trey Lance? I mean, well,
yeah, who knows?
No,
it's a really interesting point, Scott, because people always talk about, and this is like more macro game theory. People always talk about hero RB or zero RB because running backs get hurt more than receivers. So we want the receivers and this, that they want to take the late running backs because you can get the backup for the injuries. But people don't take into account, like, I would love to see a statistic or something about, like, yes, receivers get hurt less, but if you include the injuries to the quarterbacks, on top of the injuries to the receivers, because you saw Tyreek Hill last year, CeeDee Lamb, these guys lose their starting quarterbacks and they're dead a lot of times. So yes, the receivers might get hurt less, but if their quarterback gets hurt, the receiver might as well be hurt. Like, so it's one of those things where maybe it's worth a little looking into. Hey, you know, that could be a real deep tiebreaker, Scott. Like I'm trying to pick between 2 receivers. What team has the better backup quarterback on that team where their receiver's not going to die if the starting quarterback goes down?
Yeah, and it's Joe Milton, by the way, the backup QB that they brought in.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, had a nice throw against the Bills week 18 last night.
He wants to start. You know, he thinks he's a starter everywhere he goes. You know, whereas Joe Burrow has Jake Browning, and you know, when you talk about Jamar Chase, we saw what Browning can do with Chase. Browning gets the job done, right? That's probably one of the most reliable backups that we know of. You know, so
for sure,
we'll see how that plays out. By the way, I want to shout out to the crew here. Some of the best minds, like I said, in the world of high stakes fantasy football are in the chat room right here at on YouTube. And shouts out to them for being here, for participating in the draft. You got Jason Wheeler. He says, "Let's go Eagle Rare." That's Pat Sorgi, the next the 2023 world champion. Ray Cowart, the champ, is here. He won the Las Vegas Fantasy Championship last year and $50,000. I'll never forget that. The way he won that game with the Niners, his team. Daily Double is in the chat room, and it's gonna be a fun show. So we go Jamar Chase, they see Bijan Robinson, they go CeeDee Lamb, and then Mr. O, who has a history of doing extremely well in this league. By the way, it was very tough to go wire to wire last year. We saw so many teams that won in the regular season but couldn't put that last 3-week stretch. That happens a lot, Adam, where you have a dominant season, and it's so, you know, that's why I always like the FFWC. When you're putting the real high stakes money on the line, we put a lot back into that regular season because through 14 weeks, who knows what's going to happen in that last 3 weeks? But when you're putting $2,000 or $1,600 into a high stakes fantasy team, it's nice to get quite a big chunk back in the regular season before that last 3-week shootout.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a whole different. You almost don't want to be, like you said, wire to wire is so difficult. You almost don't want to be, you know, the champ weeks 1 through 15 or whatever it is, because
you want to be right there behind the pack.
Right, exactly. And so, in a lot of that, listen, a lot of the sharp drafters, and you know, these FFWC guys are the sharpest around. You're looking at, you don't even necessarily care about the schedule during the regular season. You're looking at that playoff schedule. You're looking at, hey, if I can just get into the playoffs and get this team that plays against the Panthers and the Jaguars, and they're playing in domes, and they're heating up at the right moment. Those are the teams that you see kind of crush there. So, 2 years ago, I was first in the main event at 4:00 on Sunday, and I fell off. I ended up falling out of the top 10, but it takes it takes a play here or a play there, or a start here. And so, you want to be strong going into the final 3 weeks. That's the most important thing. But like you said, it's nice to cash a little bank from a regular season prize.
Yeah, and so Mr. O, the reason why I bring that up, he was the regular season leader in this league last year. Points and record, was the number 1 seed overall going in, and arch enemy caught him right there at the end in the playoffs. And so he took second place, runner up. So he took runner up money and the regular season money. So he did well. But it is very tough to do. Bronco with the 5 pick takes Saquon Barkley. Again, it feels like a gift in that top 5 to get Barkley after the season that we saw him, and you taking him at 5. There is Gibbs there that is in consideration. I don't really consider anybody else at that 5 pick except for Barkley. I think you take it after Mr. O went Justin Jefferson. Bronco takes Barkley, and I think it's just like, all right, that's the 5th pick.
Yeah, it's safe, totally safe. If the opposite of safe, which I think you could do statistically, or if you look at, like we were talking before the show, Scott, Puka Nacua, his target share is over 30%. He's a monster when he plays, but he's not the safe pick because he's always hurt. But Barkley, you can lock him in. You're not even paying for last year's stats either, because Barkley's good and the offense is good. And they took him off the field a bunch in the fourth quarter of a lot of blowouts last season. So the only question is, will the wear and tear kind of beat him up, that because he had so many touches last year, but he looked so good in the Super Bowl. I think it's fine. I think you can lock Barkley into that 5th pick. We do have a question, Scott, from Scott. Are you guys take a quarterback early in high stakes drafts, or do you wait on your quarterback? And I think that question gets asked because here we are in the 5th round. If we shoot ahead, we're here in the 5th round, and Joe Burrow says, well, he gets the stack with Higgins and Chase for daily double, but normally Joe Burrow is not the first quarterback off the board. Usually he's top 5. But I think it depends on what format you're playing, Scott, and you got to get used to kind of the drafts that you're going against. So in these FFWC drafts, it's a game of quarterback chicken. Usually it's who can wait the absolute longest. Now I did the exact format the other night, Circa Las Vegas, and I'm normally a wait guy. I liked my team after 4 picks, and it was disrespectful that 2 quarterbacks went before Josh Allen. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pull the trigger and take my guy Josh Allen in the 5th round, because I think he could be the QB1 again this season. But then I go back and look, and man, I could have had Caleb Williams in the 12th round, 13th round. I ended up getting I got another good decent quarterback in like round 18 as like my backup. So it becomes a game of quarterback chicken. I generally wait, Scott, to kind of circle back to your question. I generally wait, but a lot of guys want to get their stack here, just like Daily Double did. Got Chase, got Higgins and Burrow, and that goes to your playoff 3-week race, right? Like, hey, if these guys get hot for 2 or 3 games all together, that's how I can win a 6-figure prize.
I saw somebody attempt that the other night. They went Chase, and then they took Higgins and Chase Brown. And then there was a team that they didn't want them to take Burrow. They sniped him with Burrow. They took him like 1 pick right in front, not letting him have that what you're talking about, that big stack.
Yep.
And, look, is it petty? A little bit, but it's also strategic. It's saying, look, if they go nuclear, I'm not going to let you go nuclear on us. So I think there's nothing wrong with that, going with the snipe like that. So
yeah, for sure, because again, you're playing against those guys. You're
playing against them,
right? Exactly. So I think it's totally fine to do that for sure.
But more to his question and Scott's question in the chat room. Look, there's like 4 or 5. I think there's 5 quarterbacks that are in that upper echelon. It's Allen, it's Lamar, it's Hurts, it's Burrow, and it's Jaden Daniels for me, right? Those 5 are in that tier one, I think they're 400-point guys, right? Those guys are right there at the top. And then you've got the rest. Everybody else I'm perfectly fine with, and I don't care where I get them. So if I don't get one of the top 5, if it feels like it's okay to go ahead and grab one of those 5, I will. But it's very hard to in this format. And I think earlier in the draft season is better because you can probably get some of your value and your sleepers at other positions earlier or later now than you will when it comes time in August, right? When it comes time in August, most of the information is already out there. Most everybody is kind of tuned up. This is the time to kind of take your quarterback early because you're going to get your sleepers that everybody else is not really on yet. And those will be able to fill in your lineup. And why would you turn down a stud quarterback with 400-point potential for a tight end or a wide receiver 5? You know what I mean? It's like, right. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Go ahead and grab one now. And you'll be able to fill out your lineup later. I think it makes a lot of sense earlier in the draft season. So yeah, but I'm also like really bullish on guys like Justin Fields, to have a really good season. We've seen him be fantasy relevant before. He's getting a chance this year. He didn't really get a chance last year. Very short window to get it. Very short leash. And they put Russell in there to manage the game. And that's not for fantasy perspective. We know that Russell was not anywhere near what Fields was going to do. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, it depends on. And so Bengals have Ravens, Dolphins, Cardinals in that 3-week race. So the Ravens one's going to be real tough, but then Dolphins, Cardinals could be an absolute smash for the Bengals to score a ton of points in those games. So I think it really depends on who you're looking at and what type of stack it is. But yeah, like you said, and that's one of the advantages of going like hero RB or even zero RB. The idea for zero RB isn't to, draft 7 straight receivers. It's go get your elite quarterback and maybe even your elite tight end, and then kind of load up on running backs later. So
let's look at the 6th pick, Predator. This is his 3rd draft of the year. This is Derek Greer. He's been playing in all the high-stakes leagues, played with us last year, did very well. Even last year in the red versus blue draft, number 2, he was the regular overall season leader for the entire season, week through 14, best record, most points, and then somebody comes up there to get you in that 3-week chase, and that's what happened again. But he also, again, like Mr. O, he was the runner-up of the red versus blue league, so he knows how to win these things, or at least finish second. And so he's trying to finish the score this year. He does take Puka Nacua. That's your guy. Looking at it, he has wide receivers there. He has Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, and Derrick Henry to choose from in the 2nd round. Does that make you and then he puts together a really strong running back crew. So he definitely has a strategy here. For me, it's hard for me to turn down Jahmyr Gibbs after the player that I saw. Now, again, Montgomery was banged up as well. He didn't play all season, but maybe that continues also. And Gibbs was just explosive down the stretch. I mean, those are the types of games you want. So was Puka. But it's really hard for me to pass on Gibbs there, knowing that I can still get a wide receiver the caliber of A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams in the 2nd round. That's pretty nice. And the running back definitely, for me, falls off.
Yeah, running back definitely falls off. I love Puka. I love him again this year. A guy who I like even better at ADP is a guy who he didn't take him to 80 ADP, but Devontae Adams. I love Devontae Adams. I have him going everywhere. Every time I'm at the beginning of the 3rd, I take him. I think he's going to be great. And then, of course, he follows up with the Kyren Williams here too. So he likes that. He likes that Rams stack offense. Again, just remind everyone, this isn't best ball either. Right. So the people are watching. This is a lineup setting league, and there's waivers and all that type of stuff. There's no trading, but. So you don't even really need to stack as much. You stack from like a 3-week race perspective. If they get hot, if the schedule is right. But yeah, I love Devontae Adams this season for sure. But Puka, man, when he's healthy, he's unbelievable target share. Matt Stafford is a kingmaker at receiver. So I get what Gibbs is safer for sure. But I think the upside might Puka has wide receiver 1 upside for sure. The number 1 receiver. Yeah.
He finished wide receiver 4 last year, so he's definitely in the conversation. 1,486 receiving yards on 160 targets. And then you talk about the metrics: 3rd in EPA, 5th with 627 yards after the catch.
Yeah.
And he's got Matt Stafford. Again, Stafford is the worry. I'm telling you, you're taking a wide receiver in the first round over a Jahmyr Gibbs. You're drafting the quarterback also. I've said it it's the third time I've said it. And you're drafting Stafford. What happens if Stafford goes down?
Right. That's fair. No, totally fair.
What is the answer?
Or what happens if Puka goes down?
I guess it's Jimmy Garoppolo. I guess I'd be okay with Garoppolo. I mean, that's a nice backup.
Yeah, that's good too. That's a good point. Like a guy who just get the ball to people. But yeah, no, I think Gibbs is the safer pick, and it's the strategy again. You can go and I say you can do a nice hero RB build with Gibbs, but not Fozzie. Fozzie loves his running backs, especially in this form. I think in the Red versus Blue last year, he went 4 running backs to start, and we made fun of him. And then I think he won the league going away. I think he had Barkley and a couple others, he had Derrick Henry in like the 3-4 turn. I think that's what did it for him. But yeah, I think Gibbs is safe for sure, and you could certainly do worse there.
All right, so he goes Gibbs. That's what we talked about. Fozzie Dog, 1-7. He was in the 5K last year. I'll never forget that draft. That was a monstrous draft, and something about that draft, Fozzie. What was it? There was something happening. There's a lot of action in Vegas. We're at Circa. We're up in the suite, looking down over Stadium Swim. It's an amazing day. It's opening day. It's Thursday, kickoff day. There's so much energy and excitement in Vegas. You know what I'm talking about, Adam?
Yes.
And this is the bucket list draft, the bucket list trip of the year. It's everybody's Christmas. He's in the 5K that morning. Beautiful sticker girls. Our ambassadors are there.
Yeah,
they're doing their thing. And Fozzie takes a running back, and then somebody, the very next pick, says running back Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley, yep.
And he says, what?
Yep.
And I'm like, what do you mean, what? He's like, Barkley's still there?
Yep. Yeah.
I'm like, man, Barkley for some reason fell in that draft. This was in the second round. This was a second round pick.
Yep.
I think it was in the second round, and he fell, and it was very unheard of for him to like fall that far, and it was like, oh, I wasn't even prepared for that. I wasn't even, and sometimes you get so locked into this idea of your choices. And so when one of the choices falls, you're not looking at the full list. So you got to be real careful, especially in these big leagues, making sure that you are paying attention to any value that falls. Because if it falls, man, it's a gift. And it's an unexpected gift, but you can't get too locked in and dialed into the strategy and the draft plan. You have to be willing to adjust.
Speaking of a gift, talking to Eagle Rare and Pat Sorgi is just that's a gift. And we have Pat with us tonight, my man, champ. 2 years ago. What's up? What's up, Pat?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man? What's good with you?
Hey, it's all good. And I was in that 5K draft with Fozzie, and when the draft ended, he came right over to me and goes, dude, I didn't know Barkley wasn't taken in the second round.
Dude.
Because I would have taken him, and Fozzie would have won the whole damn thing.
He would have won, he'd have won the whole thing.
Barkley.
Yeah. Pat, I had just got to Circa, and I walked down to the pool as you guys are finishing, and Fozzie he told the story to everybody. Well, the girls with the bikinis on, he was telling everybody that story about how he didn't get Saquon Barkley.
Before the bikinis, before everything, he was like, I thought Saquon was gone.
Yeah.
That's why I took who I don't even remember who he took. It was terrible.
It happens. That's why I say you can't get too locked in. Pat, let's keep breaking down this first round here. Get your thoughts on the rest of this first round. Always smooth. Brian Nutt, big time player here in the high stakes world of the FFWC, takes Malik Neighbors. By the way, moved from Vegas down to Florida, where it's that's everybody loves to go down to Florida. Enjoy that beautiful weather while we're here in the Midwest and all this snow, right? But Malik Neighbors 1-8. When you have other players on board like Genty, McCaffrey, Brian Thomas, Amon-Ra, is Neighbors your 1-8?
I mean, the guy took 5 wide receivers out of the first 7 picks. I'm all aboard that train. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, he's got 5.
He does. I'm good with that.
Neighbors had a special season as a rookie, Adam. And
yeah.
Now he has a yet another quarterback with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think he led the NFL in first reads for receivers. So they're going to force him the ball. The question is quarterback play. I think Russell Wilson's fine to get him the ball there, but he probably has the biggest question mark. Jefferson's got a question mark at quarterback, but I think he has the biggest question mark outside of Jefferson, maybe at quarterback in the first round. So that scares me, but I think the talent's undeniable. But I feel like you're also not really getting much value there either. I mean, can Neighbors really finish as a top 3 receiver? Maybe, but I think, like what you said, Janty, McCaffrey has number 1 overall player upside. So it's just it's tough. I'll have plenty of Neighbors, but at 8, I think that's kind of where his ceiling is.
He led the league with 11 targets per game. So nothing really about the Giants offense leads me to think, from a surrounding cast level, that there's a lot of other competition there. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson, Tracy, Scatabo,
right.
I think Neighbors, which by the way, we called as our breakout player of the year. A lot of people were scared to make that pick in the second round, but he came through for him for the most part.
All right, wait a minute. So Malik Neighbors was special, and his quarterbacks literally came to the stadium every Sunday on a short bus.
Yeah, but isn't Russell Wilson a short bus quarterback or no?
No, he's medium size.
Yeah, I mean, that's right.
Yeah. What was it, Drew Lock? It was Drew Lock, right? Drew Lock had a big game or two.
Danny Dimes, Tommy DeVito. It sounds like an Italian waiter.
Tim Boyle made an appearance.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, he did a lot with a little. So giving him a little, even look, and drafting a quarterback there. So they've got they're trying to reload and give him a little bit more surrounding cast there. So
yeah,
Malik Neighbors 1-8, 1-9 is a rookie, Ashton Genty. He's kind of taken the dynasty world by storm. He was the unanimous number 1 rookie of all drafts, and that doesn't happen every year for sure, but it happened this year. And he led the FBS in attempts with 313, in rushing yards with 2,287, in touchdowns with 28, in yards after contact with 5.4, in missed tackles forced 125, in first downs 106, and breakaway yards 1,247. I mean, look at that list I just read you. He led the entire world of college football with that. He comes in with Pete Carroll chewing the gum. Sorgi, come on now, champ. You got to like an Ashton Genty this year.
Well, I mean, Pete Carroll's the only guy older than me, so that's good.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm all over it. I love Ashton Genty this year.
Yeah, and not only that, brings in Chip Kelly, who runs the fastest offense. He's a run-heavy guy who runs the fastest offense you'll see in the NFL by a pretty wide margin. So
let's hope.
Yeah,
yeah. Right. Goodbye, Antonio Pierce.
Right, good guy. So yeah, I think Genty's fine for sure.
It's a nice pick. And Lucky Mike strikes. Mike Beatrice right there. Now, this next pick, here we go. This is a conversation starter in every fantasy league. How do you draft? William Meyer is the reigning fantasy football world champion. He got you last year. He got all of us with his Detroit Lions stack. Christian McCaffrey. He does not let McCaffrey fall to the second round. He takes him at 110. It is the conversation piece at the end of every first round is, do I take McCaffrey or do I let him fall to somebody else? And maybe I get a chance at him in the second round. We've seen him fall to the second round quite a bit this year. Adam, thoughts on McCaffrey at 110?
I want to fade McCaffrey, but I can't do it just because I know what he's capable of. And so I'll have some pieces. But I mean, the only argument is he going to stay healthy? And it's like, if he stays healthy, he's awesome. If he doesn't, he's useless to you. But hey, you can. It's so like in vogue now to handcuff your running backs. Oh, it's not plus EV to handcuff. Like, listen, if you figure out, I mean, we're early in the spring, but if they figure out who that backup is soon, then, someone's always going to be successful there. They're not going to be as successful as Christian McCaffrey, but take McCaffrey, handcuff him, and move on. Like, I think you're fine. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Eagle Rare, we had McCaffrey.
That's right.
Okay.
There you go.
He worked out fine. He's not hurt right now.
Right.
When he's not hurt, he's a stud.
Yep.
So anybody listening that's going to draft against me, I'd leave him alone. Let him get to the second round, mid-second. Yep. I'll take him off your hands. It's okay.
Look, he is going. The average draft position for him is 14 in the FFWC, but he's also at RB5. So it doesn't really matter about what draft slot it is. It's RB5. He's going RB5, and that's where Bill took him at RB5. He wanted to lock in his RB because he sees 5 wide receivers there that he's okay with. I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Because look at that long line of wide receivers. He's looking at the gaggle of wide receivers and only one running back that he's really okay with. And so it's a smart play on the turn to take. Yep. If you're on that 10 spot, you're looking ahead 11, 12, and you're thinking in a bucket of 5 players that I've got here. So it's a smart play to take the last remaining running back and take one of those wide receivers. I like the play. By the way, if you don't know, the 2023 world champion, Pat Sorgi, a bourbon connoisseur. If you have a bourbon question, I text him on the regular. Anytime there's a bourbon question, you text Pat Sorgi, Mr. Eagle Rare himself. Oh, there it is. There it is. Is that aged? What is that?
That's the 17.
That's the 17.
Yes, it is.
Tell the story. Tell the story. That happened at Circa Las Vegas. The company came out because your team name was named Eagle Rare when you won it all.
It was. And Scott made a call, and apparently Sazerac, the parent company of Eagle Rare, came out.
Buffalo Trace.
And there was a big check with my name on it for $150,000. But I saw the Eagle Rare 17 bottle, and I stood guard for quite a while over that bottle.
But because that right. What's the value? What's the value if you're lucky enough to get your hands on a bottle? Like they brought that out special in a huge box with a lot of other stuff, and they brought their team of representatives out there to congratulate you with that.
They did.
That's not an easy bottle to get your hands on.
That bottle, if you can find it, is $2,500 to $3,000.
Wow.
So name your team after something.
Victoria's Secret is going to be my team name this year.
Okay, Adam. So I had a buddy. He says, well, I'm going to name all your team strippers.
Yeah. We'll get them out there.
Scott will make it happen.
That was awesome. That was
in Vegas anyway. So
let's talk back at the draft. We're trying to finish this first round here. Crapshoot. With the one, by the way, I love the name. Hardy Mogul, Crapshoot, always comes out to Vegas, comes out with his son, Brian Thomas Jr., another rookie from last year. You've got Brian Thomas. Whoa. You got Brian Thomas. You've got Malik Neighbors. Was that the only 2 from rookies from last year that were drafted? Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr., I think.
Marvin. In the 3rd round, yeah.
So he takes Brian Thomas in that group of those 4. I see 4: Thomas, Brown, London, Collins. Yeah, you could throw McConkey in there too. That's an interesting ranking of 5. That 5 is interesting. Thomas, Brown, London, Collins, McConkey. I think they got it right.
I like Nico over Amon-Ra. We talked a little bit about it before, Scott, with Detroit. I just don't know. I don't think their offense can get better by losing their offensive coordinator. So I just like Nico a little bit better than Amon-Ra. But I would go Thomas, Collins, Amon-Ra. But then the next tier to me, I don't know what you think, Pat. I feel like London, McConkey, Rice is shooting up draft boards now.
That's early. Yeah.
Since they announced, he probably wasn't going to be suspended. So Rice is flying up boards. Usually AJ Brown is up in there. But I feel like the next, after you get past Amon-Ra and Nico, I feel like London, McConkey, Rice, and Smith, I feel like that's all kind of one big old tier. What do you think, Pat?
I agree. I mean, McConkey is something special, and Harbaugh loves him.
Yep.
He's the only guy there.
Yeah.
They have other receivers, but he's the guy.
No,
Yeah.
well, you play Dynasty, Pat. You play a little Dynasty, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I got out of that.
When you're a Dynasty nerd like us, Trey Harris is very interesting, and we don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know how long it's going to take for Trey Harris to assert his dominance, but because of this connection with Herbert and McConkey, it's legit, right? It is really legit. But Harris does things that McConkey just can't do. So there, actually, I would say it this way: Harris does things that Quentin Johnston can't do. He's a better version of Quentin Johnston.
Oh, 100%.
And so that's going to be a nice tag team. Eventually, when that all shakes itself out, McConkey with all of his volume and Harris with the big plays and the over-the-top game-breaking stuff, that's going to be finally Herbert is going to have these weapons to really utilize. It's going to be exciting to see that develop. But does Nico worry you at all, Pat? Like we've seen this sort of recurring theme with him with these injuries, and some people just get labeled as sort of an injury risk. I'm not really ready to label him an injury risk, but it feels like it happens to him more often than not.
Well, I remember Scott Atkins telling me when I took Nico and Rice back to back in the second and third round last year, what are you doing? I'm just putting that out there.
Well, what happened with that stack?
I mean, they were good till they got
great.
hurt.
They were great. Yeah. I mean, Nico was sixth in fantasy points per game last year.
They were league winners along with Godwin, and then they got hurt. Stuff happens.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a calf injury, and it does happen. But it's not. Hammies seem to be more recurring than calves, but
right.
So I guess I'm okay. And then of course, what happened to Dell and Diggs? I mean, look, Stroud really had it all set. The table was all set, and then it just all fell apart for him.
Yeah.
But hopefully, it gives him a chance.
I'm not scared of Nico at all.
Plus, it's go big or go home here, right? Not that Amon-Ra isn't a go big pick, but it's like, yeah, you're not drafting scared, in these. You can't worry about the injury stuff. But I mean, it's a kind of a tiebreaker thing. But I think Nico's upside as being clearly the number one there, and he's a big plays constantly. I love Nico.
I mean, Nico could be wide receiver number one this year.
Yeah, I think he'd need a ton of target, which he could get. He plays in the dome. He's the number one for sure.
Rookies, Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
What does Kirk play? 11 games a year?
There you go.
Right.
If Nico stays healthy,
for sure.
Collins second among all wide receivers in yards per route run, 2.86.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's not touchdown dependent either. I mean, he does.
Oh no.
he's heavily involved. Top 5 upside for sure. Harry Mary Monks, by the way, Christopher Brommel with Amon-Ra and Drake London combo. We've talked about Amon-Ra just a little bit because of the concern that when you lose a Ben Johnson, it's everything's sort of up for grabs and everything is new. Are you going to be called upon to be the dominant target share receiver in that offense when the new offensive coordinator comes in? And you just don't know how that's going to shake out, right? I mean, I look at that offense and I'm like, man, Laporta and Gibbs, you've got so many weapons there. Amon has to be heavily involved. I mean, he's Goff's favorite target there too. But he belongs right there. I think that is where he belongs, right at the end of that first round. Not last year, you could make a case that he was 5, 6, 7 range in the middle of that first round. I think it's appropriately placed with these high stakes drafters, by the way, who've already cleared the 10 rounds. They're already halfway through this draft in 44 minutes.
I love these guys.
They're flying. They're flying.
Hey, and 3, 6, 7, 10, and 12. You haven't taken a quarterback. I love you.
That's right. That's what we're talking about. We were talking earlier about like how I was like, man, I got to take Allen as the QB3 in the 5th round. Here we are.
But
in the
look.
mid-6th. Again, it's a game, and you know, Pat, it's a game. It's not even about where they get drafted.
Nope.
It's about where they get drafted within the quarterback position, right? Because it's a game of quarterback chicken. If the first one gets taken in the 3rd, they're going to start earlier. If the first one gets taken in the 6th, they're all going to start later. But they're going to be kind of where they go. It's quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be the same guys. But who takes the bait first? It was Daily Double here, taking Joe Burrow. But you usually see quarterbacks go late. You know, Mahomes in the 10th round, like behind Baker Mayfield. I mean, what year is this?
All right, Jerry wanted his stack.
Correct.
He got Chase Brown or Higgins, and then he got Burrow, and he didn't care what. He was taking Burrow in the 5th round.
100%. They were there. Yeah, he was locked in, dialed in. No chance he was going to let that. But by the way, if you look at this draft board, and anybody looking at home looks at the draft board, the story isn't really quarterbacks right now, because quarterbacks, if you've waited this long, you're okay waiting probably even longer. It's the tight end position that you have to start, and there's quite a bit of stacking going on with tight end, and that's screwing everybody up. That thought that they were going to be able to wait on a tight end. You've got one guy that took 3 and one guy that took 2. And now you thought that your draft plan was going to allow. There's another guy taking 2. You thought your draft plan was going to allow for one of those 10 to 12, 10 to 14 guys at tight end. You may not get one of those. You may have to dig a little deeper down into the arsenal and come up with a tight end target that you feel is going to provide you weekly production. I mean, you're not going to get unless you hit jackpot. The tight end is not a big part of your game plan at this point.
Yeah. Hey, Team 9, shout out to you. Rashad Bateman over some bullshit tight end that you don't really need. Good pick.
Good. That's right. Who needs a starting tight end called David? Yeah, that's right. But that's what. So this happened. Remember this happening a lot last year. Is I would wait on quarterback or tight end, and people. It gets to like round 10, and people are like, do I take wide receiver 61, or do I take my second tight end and get tight end 10? Who's going to probably start for me in the flex way more than like wide receiver 61 will. So you can wait because you think these guys aren't going to take their second tight end or their second quarterback, but they do. Do.
I'll tell you, Ferguson's still out there, and with Dak, he's decent, and that's somebody that's that's okay. I noticed Predator took Tyler Warren as his tight end when everybody, he's like, well, who am I going to take? He's going upside, right? He's like, okay, let me get one of the top elite options from the draft. Indianapolis, he's clearly Indianapolis' top tight end right out of the gate. There's another one out there, Mason Taylor. Look, we can talk about names here. This is the red versus blue draft, so we name drop and we throw out strategies, and we are part of this draft process as well. And that that they know that. These 12 drafters know that when they sign up for these drafts. But Mason Taylor's another one of those names that I absolutely love, because when you look at how that offense is built, there's nobody after Garrett Wilson. Nobody. And that's if Alan Lazard makes it to camp as a New York Jet, because that Aaron Rodgers is saying, hey, bring my guy over here to Pittsburgh. I'll deal you a 5th round pick. Something. So
yeah, for sure.
Mason Taylor should be the number 2 target in New York. I don't know what that's going to equate to when you talk about numbers yet, because Fields is not a heavy volume guy through the air, but you've got Ferguson that's still out there. You have Mason Taylor. You also have Patty French Fries. With Aaron Rodgers, I mean, Freiermuth could potentially be startable in that offense. Metcalf and Freiermuth. I think that's the way it's going to go.
Okay, 9 touchdowns for Freiermuth.
This upcoming year, you saying?
That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
9.
Zach Ertz is still out there too.
Yeah, no, 9 for Freiermuth.
There you go. Which a tight end will take, right?
Colston Loveland is still out there for Chicago. I mean, again, you're Ben Johnson. What's he trying to do? He's trying to recreate that Detroit offense. And we saw what they took. By the way, 2 pass catchers were taken for the Chicago Bears, who have a terrible offensive line. And they took 2 pass catchers in the NFL draft. Their first 2 picks, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland. they're going to use them.
Bears fan.
Well, talk about it then. They're going to use them. I mean, that O-line allowed more sacks than anybody last season, and they took 2 pass catchers.
They did. That was on the OC and on Caleb and on the line. But we improved our interior line. We took 2 pass catchers. DJ Moore might be on the Pittsburgh Steelers next year.
Oh, wow.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Or this year.
That'd be crazy. Please don't do that.
It might happen.
I like him right where he's at with the new offensive coordinator.
There's Tucker Kraft. Look, Bronco took Tucker Kraft.
That's where I want him.
I do like Tucker Kraft.
Scott, do we want to run down these teams now, like team by team, and see what we think of their strategy?
Well, yeah. So we made it through the first round. That's always a key. And then we want to take this in a little bit of a chunk here, and we want to say, okay, how did that first? Just look at that first 5-6 rounds about how that draft strategy played out. So we could start right back at the front of the first round, the first pick with Daily Double. He went Chase, and we wanted to know what he would get at that 2-3 turn. Bucky Irving and T. Higgins. That's a dominant start for a Jamar Chase team. To land Bucky Irving, who had this season that nothing looks like it's going to stop Bucky Irving from having the exact same season he had last year. And he'll probably get out of the gates quicker than he did, last year, this season. So Chase, Irving, Higgins, Worthy, Burrow, Montgomery. I give it an A+.
Yeah, not much to say other than, he just went for the Bengal stack. So that's kind of the strategy here. Bucky Irving, I have to go and do a deep dive. His PFF score was great. They said, the coaching staff said, hey, we want to continue this season how we ended last season with the running game, which was a heavy Bucky Irving, but they do lose their offensive coordinator. And I just can't wrap my head around taking Bucky Irving. You're right, Scott, but just I don't know, over Jacobs and Kyron Williams and Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, I don't know. I feel like that offense is going to take a step back.
49 receptions is the number. When you're in a PPR league, we always say this, Adam. If you catch 50 balls, you're a top 10 running back. Period. End of story. It just happens, right?
Yeah.
And he caught 49 balls, and really at the end of the day, he was getting 7, 8, 9 carries the first half of the season. So he wasn't even on the field, the volume that he was going to be on the field that he was in the second half. And so, look, he's RB8 here. Yes, you could say that he's maybe not RB8. There may be other safer names there. But with the 49 receptions last year, that signaled something. That signaled that he's a big part of that offense. And 91 missed tackles, 5.4 yards a carry, led all scrimmage yards for rookies at 1,500 yards. There's a lot to like.
Pat, where are you on Bucky?
Bucky's a riddle to me.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm going to be in enough leagues where I'm going to have some Bucky, and I'm going to not have some Bucky.
Yeah. It's going to be.
If I had one fantasy team to draft, and I had the number 1 pick, he would not be my 24th pick in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to go look at that wild graphic that I posted last night in the Discord. And it's some of these advanced stats you kind of look at, and you gotta take a second look at them. Sometimes you're like, wait, what is that chart saying? This was running back yards after contact and tackles avoided per carry.
I know.
And he's up there at the very, very top echelon of that with all running backs considered. So
it's just I'm weary of what kind of 1 year wonder type. I feel like there's a Bucky Irving every year that has a kind of a splash. CJ Spiller, his second year in the league was that, and then died. I think there's a guy like that every year. They lose their offensive coordinator. I'm just not comfortable taking him at the 2-3 turn. But listen, structurally, he gets his 3 receivers, he gets 2 running backs and a quarterback in the first 6 picks. Fine. I don't want to break down every player in the draft, but I think he did what he wanted to do structurally.
Yeah. Jacobs is getting 300 touches. I probably would have taken Jacobs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a Jacobs guy.
I'm not either. But
I'm not either.
He's getting 300 touches.
Yeah.
Yeah, his yards per carry last year still 4.4.
Yep.
46 targets, 39 receptions.
1 touchdown reception in 6 years.
16 touchdowns, though.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But he's getting 300 touches. Is Bucky getting 300 touches?
I mean, Bucky's small too. Like, I don't know. But yeah, moving on. FF Oracle.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a good squad. Congrats to Jerry on the draft. He's going to be in the hunt. Bijan, McLaurin, Tyreek, Mixon, Godwin, Myers, Lamar. I mean, look, he knows how to build an FFWC team, right? You got to have your wide receivers set. You have a steady hand in Mixon. If he can stay on the field, he's going to be a steady hand, and especially when you're getting him that late, right? That's RB 19. Is there any scenario where if Mixon plays, he's going to be a top 20 running back, right? So, okay.
I mean, look at the 5th and 6th round pick. Those are Chad Schroeder bombs on you. Godwin, Myers, as your 3rd and 4th receiver.
Yeah,
each probably getting 80 for 1,000, 6 TDs. Oh, nobody else noticed that.
Right.
Yeah. That's a great. I was just gonna say I love I think you were huge on Godwin too. I had so much Godwin last year. It cost me so much money. He was so good.
You and I both.
Godwin loves the slot. They're gonna keep him in the slot.
Yeah.
He's gonna do fine there. Jacoby Myers is one of my guys. Wide receiver 41, fast paced offense there. Obviously he's behind Bowers in the pecking order, but he'll be good. Tyreek Hill, 3rd round. I mean, that's a 6-figure payout type pick.
That's value.
Value, correct.
Value.
But just like you said, Scott, too, to circle back, if Mixon plays, and it's opportunity cost too, right? Like you take a guy there. I know it's the running back dead zone, but you take a guy there at RB19. If he plays 15 games, there's no way he doesn't finish in the top 15. So it's like, and if he goes down, you can survive your 4th round pick.
Yeah.
Now Oracle he waited a bit to take his RB2 and Jalen Warren, who I do like, but then Algier, I think he's got a little bit of work to do at running back, but if Mixon stays healthy to go along with Bijan, he's got some studs there.
Yeah, I look at Mixon as almost the same as Jacobs, but you're getting him later. You're getting him a round and a half later.
Yeah, and
it's 39 catches again, and it's 4.2 yards per carry. It's 1,200 yards. It's 57 targets.
Touchdown.
He got all that last year, right?
Yep.
So
Chubb will eat a little bit into his running game, but not his receptions, not his touchdowns.
Correct. Agreed. And that's the least valuable stuff. Is the carries and the yards between the 20s. That doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You want catches and you want touchdowns.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying I would rather pay a late 4th, 5th round price on a player like that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it because my first 3, I don't want to do that, but my end of the 4th, I'm fine. And then Myers is a guy that, again, target dependent, volume dependent, but he's a big part of that offense and he doesn't drop the ball. So Geno's he's gonna love Geno. I mean, that's a much better quarterback than he had even last year. And then you're getting a Lamar. I mean, look, you're getting a Lamar in the 7th round. Sign me up all day long. If we used to have a rule, Pat, back in the day. I mean, back in the day, I'm talking about old school Peyton Manning rule. If he falls to the 5th, you take him. So Lamar Jackson now in the 7th. I mean, come on. That's like, okay, twist my arm. I'll take him.
Yep. My best teams last year were Lamar in the 7th. And I'm like, I never take a quarterback this early. But I'm like, oh, Lamar's here? Okay, I'm going to take him and thank you very much.
There you go. All right, Boom Crush, late arrival, but a big look, I don't think he's played the Las Vegas Fantasy Championships. He normally plays in the big high stakes. CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Brock Bowers at 3-3, Kenneth Walker at 4-10. Again, there you go. Ding, ding. That happened last year. If you remember all those drafts last year, that 4-5 turn, if you took 3 wide, you were taking Kenneth Walker. You were taking James Cook. You were taking those were the running backs that were falling in that 4 or 5 turn. They're still falling. I mean, Kenneth Walker is still falling, and so is James Cook. But George Pickens and then Rome Odunze taking a shot. He's taking a shot, but he's taking a late shot, end of the 6th. Is that too early for a shot like that, Adam? I mean, you wide receiver. Oh, he's taking Burden too. He's taking both the Chicago wide receivers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think he just got Williams as the Caleb Williams QB 11 in round 14. So I think that ended up out.
Oh, he's got the Lamb Dak stack too.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Lambda. Yeah, that ended up working out perfectly for him. No, I think Odunze's fine. Right, where receiver 40 is fine.
But he's putting him in the lineup each week, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, new offensive coordinator Caleb has as much arm talent as anybody in the world. So I think betting on these prices, wide receiver 40, QB 11 in the 14th round, I think that's fine.
Wait. There's an 11-man starting lineup. So who are his 2 flex players?
Right now it's Odunze, Charbonnet, I guess. Right?
Okay, this is why it's so difficult in the 11-man starting lineup of the FFWC to feel good about your lineup when you're taking an unproven second-year player who's in Rome Odunze. I mean, again, Keenan Allen's gone, and you're bringing in Ben Johnson, but you drafted Luther Burden to be the Amon-Ra St. Brown in that offense.
Yeah,
well, that's why you drafted Luther Burden. Ben Johnson sees him, not Odunze, and I think it really hurts Odunze. Out of all the players that I loved last year, and by the way, I was more bullish on anybody in the industry on Rome Odunze last year, and I was wrong. I thought he was going to break out as a rookie because of what I believe in his talent, and it didn't happen. And this year, I see them take 2 pass catchers in Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, who directly challenge what his upside ceiling is. They are a massive hit to his ceiling.
Yep.
Yeah, I think in Boom Crush's defense, I think the problem isn't Odunze there. The problem is Bowers in the 3rd because it gets you.
Yes.
Now your flex, like you said, your flex is Charbonnet.
Right.
If you'd have taken another skill guy, your second flex would have been Rome Odunze.
Yes.
It would look the certain, but also too, this is kind of a hero RB build or kind of you got one running back. It's June. Right? If you get an injury in Tennessee, Pollard's the man. If you get an injury, well, he's actually handcuffed Walker, so you're kind of locked in there. Yeah. But, Blue, Allen, Menangi, like if one of these guys, if you get an injury, now all of a sudden your lineup is explosive.
Well, right. This is fantasy football. When you take Brock Bowers, you're expecting X amount of points over the average. Yeah. And those X amount of points over the average are going into your flex position to help out your flex position, which is going to be weaker than everybody else's.
Correct.
And so if they can just hold the fort down, you'll be okay. If they break out, you're really breaking out because now you have Brock Bowers as your tight end.
Right.
So it's just tough. It's just very tough. And, we'll see how it goes. I at this point, the bet is made. Mr. O, Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Trey McBride, another tight end early. So here, what happens to the wide receiver core? It's Jefferson at the 1, Devonta Smith at the 2, Addison at the 3. So his running backs are Henry and Connor. Where are his flex? His flexes are, look at that, Hawkinson and Kelsey, maybe even Spears, maybe even Kirk. He's got a lot of options for his flex spots. Now, why does he have options at flex? Immediate options at flex. Maybe we were discounting Jadon Blue too much. He does have he's a potential starter. Maybe Charbonnet is a potential starter, but he's more of a handcuff. This guy has flex options available, taking a tight end and a quarterback early.
Yeah, I think I don't like that strategy. I don't like going with like if you're going to go try to get quarterback early, that's fine. But I feel like you got to do that and dominate another position like receiver. And I don't think he was able to do that. But we like Hawkinson and Kelsey better because they have those defined roles week 1, whereas Charbonnet doesn't, Jaden Blue doesn't.
Thank you. Defined roles.
But a month from now, Hawkinson and Kelsey will still be fine, but Blue might all of a sudden he's the guy. Or
by the way, Spears has a more defined role than Blue.
Sure.
Kirk has a more defined role than Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
McMillan has a more defined role than Montague,
Yep.
I mean,
So,
there is swing for the fences mentality with Boom Crush.
Yep.
Mr. O is saying, I'm taking the known quantity.
Exactly.
It's a different type of strategy. By the way, when you're trying to win a league of 12, Mr. O's strategy applies. When you're trying to win an overall with 1,000 teams, Boom Crush, that's how you do it. You're taking a shot. You're swinging for the fences. You are either going to maybe win it all, or you're not even going to place in the money in this league.
And two, I mean, Pat, I don't know how you play off this strategy, but you also have to be unique at the end of the year because you don't want the same lineups everybody else has. I don't know how many people, and there's a great tool, Scott, you can use it in the draft room to see who's got the stack finder. But I don't know how many people are going to draft McBride, Hawkinson, and Kelsey.
Nobody.
So,
He's the only one.
Right. So you're going to get down to the end there. And if you start all three of them and they all smash.
With Jaden Daniels,
you're
with
the only guy that's got
Henry.
But I think it's also being kind too, because you guys have been doing this forever with this. You got to start three receivers, and your number 3 is Addison, and your number 4 is Kirk and McMillan. Like, that's going to be you get one injury, that's as thin as it gets.
Yeah. Boom Crush crushed the draft for me.
There you go.
He's got receivers early. I don't especially like his receivers.
You're a Bears fan. Come on. You're a Bears fan.
Well, but he took a Dunze, but then he took Burden. One of the two are going to be startable every week.
Yeah.
Not both, but one of the two, and you will know that by week 2 or week 3.
Yeah. By the way, is Addison getting a suspension for that DUI?
Yeah, 3 games.
1 to 3 games probably.
Yeah, so that's just now it's even thinner now. It's just,
and look what he did. He's got the Dallas stack and he's got the Chicago stack.
Yeah,
he did really well.
Love you, Boom Crush. You got Bowers, buddy. You got Bowers. He's one of my favorite players there in that area. Bronco takes Barkley, AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs, Zay Flowers, Omarion Hampton, the rookie, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Hurts. So he's starting Hampton pretty much right out of the gate as a flex. And his other flex is one of like Keon Coleman, Egbuka, or Bigsby, or even Mims. Yeah, he's got lots of options here. He loaded up at the green and yellow stickers and didn't really stray too far from that other than a solid, Jalen Hurts pick.
Yeah. They gave him Jalen Hurts as the 5th quarterback.
Yeah.
Who literally is the 2nd to 4th quarterback every year.
Every year.
And he got him in the 7th round. So he got 3 and 3.
Yep.
And then he built from there. He did well.
Yeah, and I like the players. Like I like Waddle as wide receiver 38.
Sixth round.
That's a big fall.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm not here to nitpick like the players. I'm looking more like macro. Like, I don't love Hampton there. I would have rather had Harvey or Judkins or something like that. But fine.
Yep.
3 and 3. Hurts is off. Hurts will be great for him.
Good balance.
Yeah, exactly. Nice balanced team.
Hampton's ADP
tight ends that might hit. Yep.
Hampton's ADP is RB19, so he's actually getting a little bit of a value there.
There you go.
Yeah. And Jaden Waddle's wide receiver 35, so he's getting him at 38?
Yeah.
Well, a little bit of an extra value there too.
Yeah.
So, and look, I like the Flyers with Bigsby in the 10th, Mims in the 11th, undervalued to me. From what I saw, he passed my eye test. Everybody calls him a little gadget player. He's way more than a gadget player. I'm here to tell you.
Yep.
And then, there's that Flyer, Colston Loveland in the 14th. I mean, we'll see what Ben Johnson can do with him.
And Marshawn Lloyd, real quick for you, Marshawn Lloyd's an injury.
The forgotten man.
Yeah.
An old running back, right?
Yeah.
From being the stud there. So, no, it's good.
All right, Predator, it's your turn to get annihilated. Let's see what happens. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Your wide receiver 3 is Jaden Reed or Kyle Williams. Okay. Your running backs, Kyron Williams, Travion Henderson, R.J. Harvey, Quinshawn Judkins, and Caleb Johnson. He took 4 RB rookies.
I love it. I love it.
Does Derek play Dynasty? Because very few non-Dynasty players will load up on rookies the way he did. He took Tyler Warren at tight end. He took Kyle Williams as his wide receiver 4.
Holy shit.
He took Gadsden and Krosky down there at the bottom there.
Wow.
7 rookies?
That's wild. Interesting, too. That's probably the highest I've ever seen Stafford go. And I love Stafford. I'm the guy who's always drafting him.
Yeah.
Like QB 10, he wants to stack him with every other Rams guy. I get it. But it's interesting, May, and then he doesn't even take the chance on missing out on Stafford. I don't even hate the players individually because I love Nukua. I love Adams. I like Harvey and Judkins. But I just don't think it's gonna work. You obviously Reed, William. I mean, you can't even start your 6th and 7th round picks or whatever.
Right.
Like,
well, where he took them is the problem.
Correct. Right. You know,
I love the players.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just not like loving Judkins in the 6th, and he can't even start for you.
Right. Like I like Judkins in the 6th. But not if he's not going to start for you. You know, like,
right. Wait. Why can't he start?
Well, he could, but you're waiting on wide receiver till the 8th or 9th round.
Yeah.
Yeah, Judkins is actually the value pick of those rookie running backs that actually
Judkins in the 6th.
Actually has a more certain path to RB stardom than either of the two in front of him.
That's true.
So I love the Judkins pick, and then Harvey. You know, again, how he fits into the offense is yet. I think he's the best running back on the roster, and Henderson I think is the best running back on the roster. So when you start asking those questions, you know, would I take Caleb Johnson there after I did that? No. I take a wide receiver there. I take Pearsall. I take Shakir. I probably take Shakir just to be at safe because I do that wide receiver 3 in my lineup.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, but he takes Reed. He takes Kyle Williams. He's saying, you know what? This is my team that Drake May, Kyle Williams, when that explosion happens, he's got that team because he built it that way, right? And Mike Vrabel returns after a year. Goodbye, Jared Mayo, right? Hello, Mike Vrabel. This is Vrabel and McDaniels. May ranked. Look, when he played, he was explosive. He had startable QB1 games in like four of his games.
All right.
So,
well, Adam, you're a Buffalo fan, so the Patriots being explosive on offense. Come on, seriously?
No.
We're not doing that.
No.
Well, they were dead last in passing last year.
He's got like 3 of 8 Patriots in his first.
He had 4 QB1 out of 9 starts. I mean, that's a rookie.
Yeah.
So he was a QB1 out of 9 starts 4 times. So, and then Henderson, look, he's an explosive game maker. 92% speed burst, 91 percentile.
Listen, I just can't believe. Like I said, I don't mind the players. I just can't believe I have to argue with the guy who made this format about how important it is to have receivers, and his starting receiver is Jaden Reed.
I said this is the team. The only way he wins it is when Kyle Williams, Drake May explodes. If that happens, this team's going to be okay. But that's got to happen.
That's a great best ball team.
Yeah, there you go.
Stevenson and Henderson.
Nice late sleeper there in the 17th with Calvin Austin too.
Yeah.
Why aren't you taking yellow stickers, Predator? This is not the FFPC.
Right.
This is not the FF. You've got there we go. Darius Slayton. He's like, I'll give you one. I'll give you one. Here you go, Darius Slayton. Yeah, it's just a little. Look, he's drafting a little too much FFPC. You got to have a yellow sticker in there somewhere in that little green. That green trend there from 3rd through 7th. Let's move on to Fozzie Dog. He knows this format, but he says screw the wide receivers until the 5th round. Gibbs, Achane, Breece Hall, Kamara. He's banking on Tet McMillan, Cooper Kupp, and Pearsall to be his starting 3 wide receivers. How'd he do?
I mean, I'm going to give him the same reaction that I gave him last year when he did that. But listen, he's got 4 horses that can carry his team. Kyron, Henderson, Harvey, Judkins is much less likely. I mean, these 4 guys. I mean, Kamara was top 5 RB. Brees Hall's been that in the past. Achan's good. Gibbs, like he can literally rely on those guys, and he just has to fill in some guys. But Kupp's tough. Pearsall, once Ayuk comes back, that's going to be tough.
Pat, back in the day, in the old WCOF days, I had just won my first league title, right? And I'm flying high. I'm on cloud 9, okay? And I'm feeling like Fozzie Dog here, okay? I feel like I can't be beat. You all don't know who you're messing with. This is team legacy, right? And I'm drafting just like he is.
Yep.
And then I'm thinking that Jerry Porter and Ashley Lilly are going to be my stud wide receivers, okay? And I felt great when I left the draft table because I was sure that those wide receivers were going to carry me, and I flopped on my face.
I remember you in the red versus blue jersey.
You can't
drafting those teams.
Go buck wild and expect all those wide receivers to hit like that.
Yeah,
you have to have an anchor somewhere. Yep. I don't know which pick to give up there. I don't care if it's Brees Hall and you take Mike Evans, or don't take Kamara and take Zay Flowers. I don't know. Maybe you take Adams over Achan. I don't know. You've got to take a wide receiver in there somewhere to have an anchor.
Wait, go back up to the top for me. Let me see that. All right. So he should have went wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. And he would have had a better team.
No. He's got one of his flexes, is like you said, Adam, before. You may not be a fan, but you can flex about a Mark Andrews or an Evan Ingram, whichever one of those you need to be your flex.
But he can't because he's got 4 running backs. Like he's got to flex those guys. Like
there's no flexing.
Yeah, but you got bye weeks and you've got injuries.
Yeah, no, I get it. And
again, he is gonna start.
All right, so week 9, Scott. Who's his third receiver in week 9? Kupp's going to be hurt.
He's not on the roster.
It's got to be Beck for Gino.
But wait, Pearsall lives in San Francisco, so he'll probably get shot or stabbed again.
Right. Oh, God.
Kupp's in Seattle. He'll get stabbed or shot again.
Yeah, look, it's very bold. It's very bold anytime you go, 0 RB. It's 10 times more bold when you go 0 wide receiver. It just doesn't work. Look at the stats. I don't think it resulted in any single league champion last year. Always through Brian Nutt neighbors, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I absolutely love, who was on fire, by the way, in the second half of the season. Chase Brown, DJ Moore, Chris Olave with who knows who at quarterback, Josh Allen, Khalil Shakir. He takes his 5th wide receiver before his RB2. I'm perfectly fine with that. He takes Pacheco, Javonte, and Rashad White. Kincaid at tight end, Hunter Henry at tight end too.
I like this plan. I like he loads up at receiver, gets his hero RB and Brown.
Yep.
Allen gets a stud quarterback, which is what you want to do in this format. Pacheco, I love, loads up on like running back volume. Gets the stack with Allen, Shakir, and Kincaid.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. It is. Look, Njigba is a guy that fascinates me. That people, did you watch the second half of the season? Did you see how he was being involved? Yes, you bring in Sam Darnold. It's an improvement. Okay, Sam Darnold is an improvement over Geno, and Jackson Smith finished as, wait for it, wide receiver 10, 100 receptions, 1,130 yards, and only 6 touchdowns as wide receiver 10. He can do better than that. He can do better than that with Sam Darnold. And by the way, no Metcalf, no Lockett. Okay, so
and Kupp's toast. So
Kupp is toast. He had a breakout sophomore season. If you were not impressed in his rookie season, you were absolutely impressed with his sophomore season. There's a lot to like about Jackson Smith and Jigba. And so as your wide receiver 2 with Neighbors, great. Chase Brown, we saw what he could do when he's carrying the load. DJ Moore there, I'm fine with that. Chris Olave is kind of a question mark because we don't know if it's going to be Tyler Shuck or if it's going to be Spencer Rattler. I'm not real thrilled with either of those options. I almost want to let somebody else take that problem and maybe take a Jawan Jennings or a Calvin Ridley or any of those guys maybe over Olave. I just don't know what to make of Olave. He's my riddle because I just don't know. And also, he's 1 concussion away from never playing football again.
Yeah.
Right? So but you get Josh Allen, you get Khalil Shakir. It's a very solid team. I like what I'm hearing from the Javonte Williams saying, look, it was my injury last year. Okay. That's why I wasn't great. I'm going to be fine. I'm over it this year. I'm feeling really good. So we'll see. We'll see. Lucky Mike strikes. They're in the last round, guys. We got to finish strong here. Ashton Genty, Rashi Rice, Jonathan Taylor at 3-9. DK Metcalf, Jawan Jennings, Travis Hunter, and Brian Robinson. He loads up on the yellow and green, Pat, with Mahomes and Likely and Freiermuth at quarterback and tight end.
Yeah.
And
I love
Murray,
green and yellow. Beautiful team.
Yeah.
I love the construction. Brian Robinson is your third running back, your flex. Ayuk, when he comes back, whenever that is, will be solid.
Right.
Dobbins.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, this is a best ball team because of those three guys I just mentioned that are going to play 8 to 10 games each. But when they play, whoa.
Wouldn't it have been nice if he would have taken Jonnu Smith instead of like Dobbins? I mean, just to lock it up.
I mean,
like what does Dobbins do for you as an RB4? Did you really need an RB4 there, or do you need a tight end one, reliable tight end one?
I would have taken a wide receiver probably because Ayuk's not playing till mid-October, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, they say he looked great in camp, but even then, he's your wide receiver, 5?
He's
Hunter,
5 there, but
yeah, Hunter. It's like how much is he's going to play certain situations. So, but he's got Jennings there too, though, which
But you got Jennings with Ayuk, so you've canceled your own draft pick out there.
Yeah, but if you say, hey, I'm getting a top 24 receiver, maybe with 2 picks, my pick 5 and pick 8, I'm locked into it's my wide receiver 3. Yes, you could have definitely taken a receiver over Dobbins. But Scott makes a good point too. You could have had that tight end because Likely, who knows, Freiermuth, who knows? You like Freiermuth, I know, Pat. So and he gets Mahomes and Murray. Like he takes Murray just for the hell of it.
But also he's got Gesicki down there too. There's nothing wrong with waiting on tight end this year. Look, Gesicki was one of the what did I say earlier before when the show started? It was before the show. I was looking at fantasy points per snap. Yeah. Fantasy points per snap. Jonnu was number 2 in the league overall. Gesicki was number 6. Yeah, Gesicki was the 6th. So he, you know what? I mean, you get Joe Burrow. You tie your tight end to a good quarterback like that, you're going to be just fine. And anytime you just load up on green and yellow stickers, Travis Hunter now a rookie wide receiver, it's fine because it's your number 4.
Yeah.
And you don't really need him right now. You can start, a Bateman. You're fine with starting a Bateman if you have to until your stud, Travis Hunter starts kicking up in the second half of the season. Be okay. All right. Lastly, with three teams to go, McCaffrey, McConkey, Harrison, Hubbard, Ridley, Judy. Judy is the player that nobody apparently watched last year because he was great. He was great. 90 catches, 1,200 yards, 4 touchdowns, wide receiver 13. That's right on the cusp of being a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
And you're getting him at wide receiver 35. Sam Laporta and the rookie in Jacksonville. By the way, I like that pick. I like that.
I don't necessarily care for all the players, but again, I love, like Kat said, I love the yellow and green loaded up there. He does what Scott wanted Lucky Mike to do, takes that tight end to lock it up. Ends up taking 2 tight ends before he takes his first quarterback. It still ends up with Goff and Purdy.
Right. You can wait.
Yeah, you can absolutely wait. So I like the strategy, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, there's a chance that the running back comes in and immediately contributes.
Yes.
Hubbard, we talked about, he's a volume guy, but they didn't really do anything to kind of supplant him, right? I mean, bringing in Dowdle or whatever, that's not going to take him off of his perch. He's volume dependent, but that's okay. He's going to get volume.
Yeah, and also I did find it. Yes, Hubbard for sure is a nice RB2, but I find it interesting. No McCaffrey stat. I don't know. Maybe he was targeting some of these Niners running backs, and they just went before he was able to take them, but. Solo McCaffrey, no
No handcuff.
Yep.
Yeah, Jordan James lasted until the 19th round. I think he's actually the handcuff there. We'll see if that's true. But
yeah,
it's a solid squad. You can quabble with the selections and the players, but the format of what he's trying to do there with the green and yellow stickers, the boldness to wait on quarterback. Usually, you get rewarded for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Crapshoot, Brian Thomas, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, bang, bang, bang. James Cook with the 4th, Kittle with the 5th, Swift in the 6th, Debo in the 7th. You got 2 guys there, both question marks, 6, 7 like that. Tyron Tracy, Najee Harris, Baker Mayfield. You're starting the 3. You get Cook. Swift is your RB2. Your flex options are Debo with the Commanders. By the way, nothing wrong with that as a flex 1. And then Tyron Tracy is your flex 2. There's really nothing wrong with that either. I mean, those are the types of players you're getting in the 7th and 8th round, and those are going to be your flex options. I'm fine with that. Again, it's that Kittle pick that puts you kind of around back, and you better be able to hit on those next few picks.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that. It puts you around back. Yeah, if Kittle smashes, which he certainly can. I love his first 3 receiver picks here. Again, got to start 3 receivers, locks those up.
You love the Cook pick too.
Yeah, I like the Cook pick. It's fine. It's fine. It's good for like kind of what he's doing here. I mean, I like Kamara better this year, maybe Mixon too. But again, the strategy. Debo, wide receiver 45, man. Like, come on. When he's healthy, that's awesome. So gets that in the flex. Tracy, Najee, flex guys too. Gets a couple quarterbacks too, Baker, Stroud, and Geno. So he'll probably won't. I'm assuming he won't carry 3 all year. But yeah, I like this. I like this build, and I like some of these players too.
These are all very expensive, experienced drafters. You had Bill Meyer there in the 10 hole, the world champ. You have Hardy Mogul here at the 11 hole, and then you have Chris Brommel at the 12 hole. They draft with each other quite a bit through the summer months as everybody else is just warming up to fantasy. They kind of know how everybody is drafting. I wonder if some of that doesn't play into some of these picks. The Harry Mary Monks, the last 12th pick, Amon-Ra, Drake London, he starts 5 wide, Cortland Sutton, Jamison Williams, Josh Downs. So his RB1 is Aaron Jones. His RB2 is Travis Etienne. And Stephon Diggs he's waiting for to get in the lineup because that's his wide receiver 6. He doesn't take a tight end or quarterback until round 15.
Bravo.
Bravo. Bravo.
Honestly, that's a great team there.
Yeah. And he gets
when Stephon is your 6th receiver and Trey Benson, Roshan Johnson or Mason are one of your starting running backs, probably from week 3 on. Bravo.
Well, you're saying starting running backs because there's an injury and they end up taking over, not because you're stuck with,
Oh no, I'm saying it as, oh good, I get to start him.
Yeah.
I
mean, I liked it in a sense. This is a true 0 RB, right? Like you said, he gets one guy that's going to start. And listen, he's got Jones and Mason, so he's got an RB1.
Yep.
No matter what.
Yeah.
He gets one guy gets hurt, the other guy comes in. And then if you get an injuries in Jacksonville or Arizona or Chicago or Indy or Philly, you get one of those guys hurt, and now you've got, and this is how you build a super team. Now, Fields has to be that guy. I'm not a Penix guy, but if you get Fields can be that guy. Again, you took him in the freaking 16th round. Tight end is going to be an issue, but again, if you want an issue on a team in the FFWC, tight end is kind of where you want it to be. So
look at the fall from grace from Cole Kmet, not even drafted. Again, he was terrible last year. The offense didn't know what to do with him. I don't know what was going on with that, but he was kind of a sleeper tight end by many last year, and now not even drafted in 20 rounds. People are taking Elijah Arroyo before him.
I really like Elijah Arroyo a lot. I just couldn't have him as my tight end 1.
But you think that with Ben Johnson, that maybe Cole Kmet may have a chance to contribute, and show us what you got. I mean, obviously they drafted a tight end at number 10, but This is the type of team that when I'm just not thrilled with Aaron Jones as my RB1 or Travis Etienne, who I don't even see as I think he's the third best tight end or the third best running back on the roster right now.
Zero RB teams don't look good in June.
Right.
Till the 10th week of the season.
Correct.
There you go.
Correct.
There you go. The injuries start to pile up, and then Jonathan Taylor misses time, and then Giddens is a starter.
Yep. Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. That's how it goes. By the way, I like Jameson Williams and Josh Downs as my flex lineup right off the bat. Boom, boom.
Oh yeah.
Those are touchdown guys that can make big things happen. And so
Jameson as the fourth and Downs as the fifth. They could give you 20 points each.
Yeah. Yep. And look at Fields down there in the 16th round.
Well,
could be a top 5 quarterback in week 1.
Yeah. Ask Jason Weiler about Justin Fields. He loves it.
By the way, these 12 drafters, I think they set a record tonight. They finished in 82 minutes.
Incredible.
That's amazing.
Before we did. They finished before us.
Yeah.
Before us. Our show is over. Pat, thank you for being a part of it. These drafts can be found at playffwc.com. Circa is an amazing time. You'll never experience anything like drafting at Circa. It's made for people like us who love sports. And if you want to bring your significant other, it's the great compromise because you have your games, you have your sports book, you have your betting window. She has the pools and the martinis and the drinks are flowing. And it's a great time. You're gonna have an absolute blast at Circa, indoors and outdoors. And you get to mix it up, mix and match it. Some days it's outdoors, some days it's indoors, some days you're drafting outdoors, some days you're drafting indoors. It's just whatever floats your boat. It's just a great time. And then you also have Fremont Street, and you have Candlebox performing on Saturday night. Come on, this is great.
Awesome.
This is great. Thank you guys for being a part of it. Adam, thank you for running the show, brother. And Pat, we'll see you next on the Bourbon Trail, brother.
All right. Take care.
See you guys.